My wife humiliated me at her promotion party, raised her glass, called her coworker her real partner, and pointed at him while I sat there like furniture. People laughed like my pain was part of the entertainment package. She didn't even look at me. Her smile stayed smooth, her voice stayed sweet, and the shame hit me so hard I felt heat crawl up my neck. Then she kept talking about loyalty, about support, about who really shows up, as if I hadn't been the one holding her whole life together. Here's how it happened. My name is Jamal. I'm black, born and raised in Maryland, the kind of man who grew up believing love was supposed to look like effort. Not just flowers and weekends, but rent paid on time, appointments remembered, groceries bought, and prayers whispered when money got tight. I married my wife, Aaliyah, because she made me feel chosen. She was brilliant, funny, sharp as a tack. And when she said she wanted more, I didn't get scared. I got supportive. Aaliyah worked in downtown D.C. at a firm that loved calling everything a family while paying people like they were disposable. She had a big project coming up, one she talked about like it was a mountain she planned to move with her bare hands. I didn't mind the long nights at first. I'd heat up her plate, pour her tea, and sit on the couch pretending I wasn't tired too. When she'd come home, she'd kiss my forehead and say, "You're my peace." Back then, I believed it. We used to be corny in love. Like, embarrassingly corny. There was this little spot in Baltimore. Tiny jazz bar, low lights, tables too close together. We'd sit shoulder to shoulder, whisper jokes, and act like the saxophone was serenading us personally. One night, she wrote on a napkin, "Jamal plus Aaliyah equals unstoppable," and slid into my shirt pocket. I kept it in my wallet for years. If you looked at us then, you'd think we were one of those couples who make it. The funny part is Aaliyah fell for me because I'm unreasonably dependable. She used to tease me like it was a character flaw. "You the type to bring a phone charger to a cookout," she'd say, laughing. And I'd say, "And when your cousin's phone dies and she can't call her ride, who's she gonna look for?" Aaliyah would roll her eyes, then kiss me like she was proud. I didn't realize dependable can turn into taken for granted real quick. When her project got intense, it became our whole life. She'd text me at 9 p.m., still at the office. I'd text back, "Want me to bring you food?" She'd say yes, then forget she asked, then act annoyed that I came. I'd sit in the car outside her building, eating fries alone, watching people leave in pairs. She'd hurry out at midnight, smell like somebody else's cologne mixed with her perfume, and say, "It's just the office. Don't start." The first time I asked about Marcus, she laughed like I'd asked if the moon was made of cheese. "Marcus is just a coworker," she said. "He's good at presentations." That's it. She made presentation sound like a medical condition. She'd mention him constantly. Marcus said, "Marcus thinks," Marcus, and I stayed late. And I'd swallow the jealousy because I didn't want to be the kind of husband who polices his wife's friendships. But the energy shifted. Aaliyah started wearing perfume to work on days she used to roll out the house in lip balm and a prayer. She'd angle her phone away from me like it had secrets. She'd laugh at texts and then look up at me with that face like she was daring me to ask. If I did ask, she'd say I was insecure. Meanwhile, I was the one cleaning the apartment, paying bills, and pretending I didn't notice she stopped touching me like she used to. Still, there were romantic moments, like little life rafts. One Friday night, she came home early, and I almost didn't recognize the version of her who smiled at me. She hugged me from behind while I cooked, then tried to dance in our kitchen to an old Anita Baker song. I stepped on her toe, and she yelped like I'd committed a felony. We laughed so hard we had to sit on the floor. For 20 minutes, it felt like us again, warm, silly, safe. The next morning, she was cold. Like that laughter never happened. She said she needed to focus. I asked if we could take a weekend trip once the project was over. Something simple, maybe Richmond, maybe a cabin near Shenandoah. She sighed like I'd asked her to build another mountain. "Jamal, you don't get it," she said. "This is my moment." I nodded and told her I did get it. But my chest felt empty. The night she told me about her promotion party, she said it like she was doing me a favor by inviting me. "You should come," she said. "It'll look good." Those words hit weird. Look good to who? But I ignored it. I bought a new button-down. I got my hair cut crisp. I even picked up flowers because I thought maybe I'd be the husband who shows up and reminds her who loves her. She glanced at the flowers and said, "You didn't have to do all that." The day of the party, she was in the mirror forever. I watched her put on the necklace I gave her for our anniversary, and something inside me softened. Maybe I was tripping. Maybe the distance was just stress. She turned and asked, "Does this dress look okay?" I told her she looked beautiful. She didn't say thank you. She said, "Good," like she needed my approval the way you need a stamp, not affection. We drove into D.C. with the windows cracked because she said the car smelled like food, even though it smelled like normal life. She scrolled on her phone the whole ride. I tried to joke, "So when you get famous, don't forget the little people." She smirked without looking up. "I'm already famous to the right people," she said. I laughed, but it landed like a rock. The city lights looked sharp and cold, like they were cutting the sky. The restaurant was the kind of place with exposed brick and tiny candles and servers who call you "my love," like it's their job. Aaliyah's co-workers were already there, loud and dressed up. Everybody was black, beautiful, shiny, smelling like cologne and ambition. People hugged Aaliyah like she was the bride. A few folks shook my hand, but it felt like they were shaking the hand of husband, not Jamal. They kept saying, "You must be so proud." I kept saying, "I am." Marcus was there, of course. Tall, confident, suit fit too well, smile too easy. He hugged Aaliyah like it was normal. Not a side hug, not a polite hug. A full hug that lasted a beat too long. When he pulled back, he didn't look at me like a man meeting another man. He looked at me like a man checking an empty chair. Aaliyah introduced him like, "This is Marcus. He's basically my work husband." People laughed. I forced a smile. They sat me at a table near the side, close enough to be seen, far enough to be ignored. Aaliyah floated around like she was hosting, taking photos, touching shoulders, laughing extra loud. I watched her become somebody else in real time, somebody who didn't need me. I tried to join conversations, but folks kept talking over me, like my voice didn't match the vibe. I sipped water and smiled until my cheeks hurt, waiting for the night to end. There was a projector set up with a laptop on a little stand, like they were about to show a cute montage. I saw the first slide, group photo, big smiles, their project name in bold letters. People cheered. The room was warm with pride, the kind that makes you forget your feet hurt. Aaliyah finally came back to our table, leaned in, and whispered, "Be nice tonight." I blinked. "I'm always nice," I said. She laughed like that was a joke, too. Then it was toast time. Someone clinked a glass and handed Aaliyah the mic. She stood up, radiant, soaking in attention like sunlight. I felt a flicker of pride, my wife shining. She started with the usual. "Thanks to leadership, thanks to the team, thanks to God." People snapped fingers, nodded, shouted yes, like church. My heart slowed down. I thought, okay, she's going to say something sweet about us. She's going to make me feel like I matter. Then she said it, bright and casual. And I especially want to thank my real partner. The room oohed like she was about to name me. My throat tightened. I sat up a little. She extended her arm past my shoulder and pointed straight at Marcus. "Marcus is the reason this happened," she said. "He showed up for me. He carried me." People laughed, clapped, yelled like it was funny. Marcus bowed, slightly like a performer. My face went hot. My ears rang. I looked at Aaliyah, waiting for a wink, just kidding, anything. She didn't look at me, not even a glance. She kept talking, praising Marcus like a hero, calling him the only one who understood the vision. Somebody at a nearby table looked at me with pity. Somebody else snickered. I felt myself shrinking, like my body wanted to disappear to protect me. I thought about the dinners I made, the bills I paid, the rides I gave, the prayers I said. All of it turned to dust in my mouth. And while she kept smiling, the projector glitched. The slideshow froze, then flickered like somebody bumped the laptop. Aaliyah didn't notice. She was too busy being adored. The next slide popped up and didn't match the vibe at all. Plain white background, black text, no pictures, just a title, "Expense Review, Discrepancies." The room went quiet like someone turned the volume down on everybody at once. Even the servers stopped moving for a second. Aaliyah's voice faltered. She said, still holding the mic. The next slide advanced by itself. Screenshots, spreadsheets, highlighted lines, client card charges, reimbursement forms, hotel receipts, the kind of boring-looking proof that gets scary because it's specific. People leaned forward. Somebody whispered, "What is that?" Marcus stopped smiling. His face went stiff. Aaliyah stared at the screen like she could bully it into changing back to happy photos. Then came the slide that made my stomach drop for a different reason. A photo. Aaliyah and Marcus in a hotel mirror, time-stamped. Her hand on his chest. His phone visible in the reflection. The same necklace I gave her resting on her collarbone like it was just jewelry, not meaning. The room didn't explode. It didn't need to. The silence was worse than yelling. Aaliyah didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She turned sharp as a blade, eyes scanning for someone to blame. "Who did this?" she snapped. Her tone wasn't hurt. It was furious. Like the real crime was that the truth showed up uninvited. Marcus tried to laugh, a thin sound. This is some kind of mistake," he said. But he didn't sound convincing because the slides kept rolling. Text messages where he told her to put on the client card, where she replied, "Bet," like it was nothing. More receipts, more dates, more lies. Somebody's chair scraped back hard. At the back of the room, I noticed two people I hadn't clocked earlier. Plain clothes, calm, not drinking, not eating. One of them lifted a phone and recorded the screen like it was evidence, not gossip. Aaliyah grabbed the remote and stab buttons. Nothing changed. She leaned over the laptop stand, fingers flying, but the deck kept advancing. It wasn't her computer. It was the company's demo unit they'd requested, which meant somebody from inside the firm set that presentation up on purpose. Aaliyah spun toward me. Eyes narrowed, like I was the easiest target. "You," she said, like my name was a curse. People turned to look at me, trying to figure out if I was some mastermind. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. My hands were steady on the table, because I wasn't surprised by her reaction. She'd been training me for months to accept blame for her choices. Marcus started inching toward the exit, but one of the plainclothes people shifted into his path without drama. I stood up slowly, not for a speech, not for revenge. My heart was pounding, but my mind was clear in a way it hadn't been in a long time. I slid my wedding ring off my finger, quiet, and set it beside my plate. Aaliyah's eyes flicked down to it, then back up with rage, not regret. I leaned closer and said, "Just for her, don't come home." No yelling, no performance, just a boundary that felt like oxygen. The next morning, karma didn't look like flashing lights and cameras. It looked like HR meeting rooms, passwords revoked, laptops taken, security escorts with polite faces. It looked like a call from the leasing office, because I'd already moved the lease into my name quietly after speaking to a lawyer. It looked like my separate bank account, because I'd switched my deposit weeks earlier when the lies started stacking. I didn't do that to punish her. I did it because I finally loved myself enough to stop bleeding for somebody who wouldn't stop cutting me. Aaliyah called me nonstop, not to apologize. Never that. She called to accuse me, to spit venom, to demand I fix what she broke. Marcus texted too, like we were buddies. "Man, you know this is messy." I blocked both of them. I took a job transfer to Durham, North Carolina. Same work, better hours, quieter life. I moved into a small place with sunlight on the kitchen floor. I cooked for myself. I slept. I started laughing again, the kind of laugh that isn't forced. Months later, I sat on my balcony with a cheap plate of takeout and a piece I didn't know I could have. I thought about the early days, jazz bars, kitchen dancing, the napkin that said unstoppable. And I realized the moral lesson wasn't watch the projector. It was don't confuse love with endurance. Love isn't staying through disrespect until it kills you. Love is choosing yourself when someone proves they won't choose you. I didn't get fame or a public victory. I got something better, private freedom, quiet success, and my dignity back. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.